so this is probability part 2. Okay, so there are a few rules that you have to remember in probability. The first one is that if you have a probability, it should be within 0 until 1. So that means the lowest value for your probability should be 0 and the highest value should be 1. So if let's say you calculate and suddenly you get some negative number, you probably need to check them again because probability should be between 0 and 1 only. So no negative and no number that is greater than 1. And then probability of everything inside your sample space should be equal to 1. So if let's say you have this as your sample space, so the probability of everything inside the sample space should be equal to 1. And then the third one, probability of A and probability of A prime or A complement is actually equal to 1. So sometimes inside here we might have a set called the A. So A, this is A prime or A complement is something that is not A, so outside of A. So probability of A plus with probability outside of A, everything is actually inside our big sample space, therefore that is equal to 1. And then of course you can actually rearrange them, so probability of A prime is actually 1 minus probability of A. Or you can also have probability of A equal to 1 minus probability of A prime. So this can be called as prime or complement. Okay, and then the fourth one is the addition rule. Probability of A overlap with B is equal to probability of A plus with probability of B minus with probability of A union with B. So you can actually rearrange them to become probability of A union B equal to probability of A plus with probability of B minus with probability of A overlap with B. Okay, so I do add one more into the probability rule where we have a De Morgan rule. If let's say you have probability of A prime overlap with B prime, that is actually equal to probability of A union with B and then prime outside. So to remember them easily, you can remember them as factorizing the prime outside and then flip the sign in between them. So for example, if you have A prime union with B prime, so it should be probability of A and then B prime outside, but instead of union, we should flip the sign, therefore it should be an intersection. Okay, so probability of A union with B prime, so this is actually equal to 1 minus probability of A union B. And then probability of A overlap with B prime, so this is simply 1 minus probability of A overlap with B. Okay, so let us go to the example. A die is rolled. What is the probability of rolling a 1? So our event now is rolling a 1, so that means 1 is inside this. So probability of A is simply 1 out of 6. Because in our sample space, we can either get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there are 6 possible outcomes. So to roll a 1, so 1 over 6. Rolling a number that is not 1. So just now we defined that A is rolling a 1. So that means now it is not 1. So that means we are looking at probability of A prime. So using the probability formula that I told you before, so this one should be 1 minus probability of A. Therefore, this one should be 1 minus 1 over 6. So this is 5 over 6. Rolling a 1 or a 6, so this is a union. So we are looking at probability of A union B. So the formula is probability of A plus with probability of B minus with probability of A overlap with B. Okay, so since we only have one die, so that means the possibility to do a 1 and a 6 at the same time is actually equal to 0. Therefore, this is probability of A plus with probability of B. So this is 1 over 6 plus with 1 over 6. So this is 2 over 6. Or you can simplify them to become 1 over 3. Okay, so the second example, given that probability of A is 1 over 2, probability of B is 1 over 3, and probability of A union B is 3 over 4. And then we were told to find out probability of A overlap with B. So let us use the formula. Probability of A overlap with B is simply probability of A plus with probability of B minus with probability of A union with B. So this is actually equal to 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3 minus 3 over 4. Therefore, equal to 1 over 12. Okay, so now let us go to the second question. Probability of A prime union with B prime. So since both of them we have a prime, so we can use the De Morgan rule for this. So this is actually equal to probability of A, B, so outside prime. If this one is union, this one we must flip the sign to become intersection. So this is 1 minus probability of A overlap with B. 1 minus 1 over 12. So this is 11 over 12. And then the third one, probability of A prime overlap with B prime. Again, both of them having a prime. So this is actually a De Morgan rule. So you can use the De Morgan rule. So this is probability of A, B prime outside instead of intersection. This one should be a union. So this is 1 minus probability of A union with B. So A union B is 3 over 4. 1 minus 3 over 4 is simply 1 over 4. Okay, so now the fourth one, probability of A overlap with B prime. So I don't give you in the probability rule, but we can actually draw our Venn diagram to understand them better. So let's draw the Venn diagram. So this is A, this is B. Okay, so it must be inside of A, but at the same time it must be outside of B. So everything here is A, but since it must be outside of B, it should only be here, because inside here this is B. So to translate this into the formula, it should be the big circle where we have probability of A minus with probability of A overlap with B. So probability of A is 1 over 2, probability of A overlap B is 1 over 12. So this is 6 minus 1 over 12. So this is 5 over 12. Okay, so that's all for the second part. So let us move on to the third part.